keep changing location, Felicia? Well, that's because I'm actually setting up a studio in the front room and I'm not done yet because I'm lazy. So it's about 11 o'clock on a Saturday evening and I've realised that I haven't made a video for tomorrow. So I've got my tea. Let's talk about colour temperature and white balance. Colour temperature is the temperature that your light source is emitting. White balance is the setting on your camera that you have selected to portray white as white. Both are measured in degrees Kelvin and run on a scale from, let's say, 2000 to about 8000. It really does depend on the camera. Some go much higher, some go much lower. Starting off with 2000, that's where you got sort of your candlelight sort of scenario, so very warm. 3200 is your tungsten balance. That can be anywhere from 3200 to 3400 usually. Household tungsten bulbs tend to be about that. 4300 is fluorescent and 5600 is your average daylight. I say that 5600 is the average daylight because if it's cloudy or clear skies, that also changes it. But why, when I change my white balance to 2000, is it really blue? Wouldn't 2000 mean that it would be more orange? It's a good question, and a lot of people get confused about this when they're first starting out and first learning about white balance and colour temperatures. Simply put, the camera is adding more blue to even out the orange tone of 2000 degrees Kelvin. The confusion here is changing your camera to 2000 degrees Kelvin is changing the white balance, not the colour temperature. Tea break. The easiest and most straightforward way to get a white balance is by popping a white card in front of your camera or a white piece of paper if you're running short, and then clicking the white balance button. If you're using a still camera, it can be a little bit different. You can dial it in manually if you so wish. Otherwise, you can set it on auto white balance and it should automatically adjust to your situation. But you can use white balance and color temperature to work to your advantage in a shot. Do you want to warm up that image, give it a bit more of a summer feel? Maybe you want to cool down the image, make it look like nighttime or dusk? Or maybe you want to do the warm inside, cool outside look. The choice is completely up to you and it's quite creative as well. Basically, I wanted to make this video to get you out there and trying new things. Experiment with different coloured lights and different temperatures. Experiment with a different white balance. Have a look, see the effect that it gives you. And don't be afraid to mix your light sources and have a play. It's really the only way you'll learn about what works and what doesn't. Another thing that I want to talk about in this video is color cast. On a lot of cameras, there is the option of setting a color correction. That can be plus green or minus green. So green or magenta. So basically, if your scene is looking a little bit green or a little bit magenta, you can add the opposite to it to even it back out again. There are gels you can use to correct this, or you can just correct it using the camera, depending on which camera you're using. This often comes with using cheap, inferior lights. Any light source is good, yes, and if you're getting exposure, great, but just be warned that sometimes the build quality isn't so great on cheaper lights, especially LED panels. Keep an eye out for the CRI rating. If it's 90 or above, they're pretty good. Have fun playing and I'll see you next Sunday.